Hi, I'm John Stewart, Chief Investment Officer of Farmers Trust Company. This is the Investor's Edge.
The Investor's Edge, Market Insights with John Stewart, is brought to you by Farmers Trust Company.
Hi, I'm John Stewart. Welcome to this week's edition of the Investor's Edge. First up, the week in review, inflation unleashed. So even though we've been talking about inflation for several months now, we got confirmation this week of what we already knew. Inflation is running hot, hot, hot. This week it was reported that April consumer prices, the CPI index, rose month over month at a rate of 0.83%. That annualizes to a rate of more than 10%. This is the highest reading we've seen since 1982, nearly 40 years. It's actually likely that consumer prices will rise even further in May, as we've seen commodity prices spike just over the course of the last couple weeks, and we now have gasoline prices spiking around the country due to the Colonial pipeline cyberattack and shutdown that I'm sure many of you have heard of. So now the question becomes, will the Federal Reserve start to have to acknowledge this higher inflationary pressure as something more than transitory and tighten monetary policy in response? It appears the equity markets are already starting to get a little bit nervous that this could become a reality. For this week's featured insight, don't chase headlines. So while it may seem a bit ironic that I'm giving advice not to chase headlines after we just talked about the headline inflation, once a news story becomes broadly disseminated in the mass media, it becomes difficult to make money off that information, at least in the short run. Ever heard of the saying, buy the rumor, sell the news? Essentially what that means is you want to invest based on the anticipation of an event and then take your profits once that event actually occurs. We've been telling investors to buy inflation protection for the better part of the last year. Now that we're seeing inflation in the headlines and it's being widely talked about, it probably makes sense to take at least some profits on those positions that are driven by inflationary pressures. Looking ahead, expect a summer of volatility. So while it may be wishful thinking on my part to start talking about summer, as we've had one of the coolest starts to a month of May here in Northeast Ohio in recent memory, we also expect volatility in the financial markets to heat up as we move into the summer months. Elevated stock prices, higher interest rates, higher gas prices, geopolitical unrest in China, the Middle East, and Russia, among other places, all add up to an expectation of higher rates of volatility in financial markets. Time to buckle up. Once again, I'm John Stewart. Thank you for watching The Investor's Edge.
The Investor's Edge, Market Insights with John Stewart, is brought to you by Farmers Trust Company.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for notifications. And also make sure to connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. For all of your business news, visit businessjournaldaily.com. For all of your arts and entertainment news, go to afterhoursyoungstown.com.